Beavis and Butthead worked part-time where? Where did the beloved
You know what?
pair
I saw Beavis and Butthead like once or
Live.
twice when I was young. Yeah, no, they're actually my neighbors.
You ran into them on the street once.
Yeah.
Cool guys.
Where do they work?
Yeah, where do they work in the show?
I'm just gonna say the
Part-time.
mall. I have no idea.
I mean, I can't really fact check you, but the answer is Burger World, which could be a place at the mall. But the mall was like a solid guess.
Yeah, because there are so many businesses at the mall.
Yeah, that, the Burger World.
Unless you are talking about the mall at Niles that we saw The Matrix.
Right.
At,
In
then
which
there's
case
not
there were
very many
no businesses. It's like
There were very few. It was kind of depressing.
felt like something off of like the Liminal Spaces Twitter
Yeah.
account, that mall.
It did.
It was so weird. Man, I assume. Well, let's make some things clear right off the bat. One, if you're watching the video podcast and I look teary, it's because I had a small allergic reaction earlier today. Not
You
in the
did?
throat, but like I think I was like cooking a lot for my Knife Out video, and I think the fumes in this thing my dad is working on at our house like got into my nose. Like I think I had an allergic reaction to something in the house because something wrong. So anyways, I'm fine. But if I'm sniffling a lot, that's probably why. Because I'm still recovering. And Jeff, you woke up from a nap like a little bit ago.
So what I did today was I went out and saw The Batman in theaters.
Yes, our movie today.
Yeah, which I saw it on Thursday
Yep,
at about 1:50 p.m. Eastern. The ticket cost $7. The popcorn cost $11. And it was a medium popcorn. I was like,
That's
when they told me that's how much
crazy.
it cost, I'm like, well, this movie's super long, and
Yeah.
I did not eat enough beforehand, so I need this popcorn.
See, man, I'm glad you got popcorn because I made the mistake. When I went to go see it, it was like it was the Batman. It was like opening week, so obviously it was like packed, and the line was like so long for concessions. So I was like, I don't want to miss the beginning, and I
Right.
figured there was like a slow scene, and I went then to like go to the bathroom and then get some popcorn because I was like, man, we got like 2 hours left, and I'm pretty hungry, and the what do you.
I'm just ready for where this story's going. 'cause it's
There's really nowhere. I went up to the guys like, can I get a medium popcorn? And he's like, we don't have any popcorn. And so I just didn't get any popcorn. And that's the story.
I knew the story was gonna just have some weird part to it because it was so mundane for the rest of it.
Yeah. I went to the bathroom during the movie. And yeah, that's the story I told.
And they didn't have any popcorn.
They didn't have any popcorn.
Yeah, there was very few people in the theater when I saw it.
Yeah? Wait,
Because
really?
it was, yeah, it's in St. Petersburg, Florida at 1:50 p.m. on a Thursday.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So there was like maybe, I don't know, 15 people in the theater.
Yeah. Mine was Chicago, Illinois at 7 p.m. on a Friday. So that makes a little bit more
When it came out.
Yeah, the first week.
Yeah.
I mean,
Also,
yeah.
the theater I went to, the seats were like those recliners, but they were the thing that was the problem was they clearly sourced their material incorrectly when they opened because all of the like leather was just rubbed off on every single one of the seats.
It's not
So the
meant for
seats
movie
look
seats.
terrible. Yeah.
Man, wow, that's fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad. It must be cool to see this in like an empty theater though, just you and just a few people.
I don't know if that you're trying to make that sound like that's some kind of cool perk.
I
You're like
don't
it's
know.
awesome that
It's
you saw this in a
awesome.
big empty theater.
Yeah. I saw it in a packed one, so it was just kind of. I don't like seeing things in packed theaters. For some reason, it makes me anxious. It just I don't know. It wasn't my type. Some guy came up to me as the movie was starting, and he's like, "Loved your Euphoria video," and I was like, "Oh, thanks." And that was just weird because I like put it out that day, and I was like, "Wow, people are really watching my videos out there."
Yeah.
So shout out to that guy.
I didn't watch it. because I
Well, you haven't seen the
Euphoria.
Euphoria. It doesn't. No, I realized like today, I was like, man, I should have made a Batman video, and I never did. And I'm like, I feel like that it's the talk of the town, and I never considered making a video on it. And sorry guys, but a lot of people are gonna be coming here because I've gotten a lot of DMs that are like, where's the Batman review? And the Batman review is happening right here, right now with Jeffrey.
Right here,
Borslund.
live. I mean,
Yeah,
live for
live.
me, not for the people listening.
Oh, we're on Twitch. We're on, yeah.
We're not on Twitch. That's just in case you were wondering. If you're like,
We're
oh,
not.
I'm missing out on this Carscast live recording.
We're not
That
on
is
Twitch.
not a thing that
We
we
did
do.
go live once on Twitch together, not for the
We did.
podcast, but just
No,
to talk
I
about
ended up
politics.
talking a lot about politics. Yeah, we were one of the top like 5 politics discussions on Twitch,
And it
I
was
think.
the night before they called the election, like, which is crazy. You would think the politics section on Twitch would be bopping at that
Yeah.
point, but it was just us, really.
What if we do a
And-
hard pivot and only talk about like American politics? It would completely alienate like a third of the people who
Yeah.
listen to this who are not from America.
Especially because I can't speak for you. You know way more than I do about politics. But I'm not a guy that can talk about politics, so I don't know
Yeah,
how successful this
we're gonna
podcast
get-
would be.
We're gonna get really into ranked choice voting.
Yeah.
That's just a big thing I'm for. And anyways, do you have any news articles? I can already tell this was going downhill.
Yeah.
It's a
I love
terrible-
how like there's a lot of people tuning into this episode that were like, "Oh my god, we're gonna hear him talk about the Batman," and we're like, "Politics."
Yeah.
And we just
and then we just get into the politics of Batman.
yeah,
Be like,
which is
Gotham
funny.
City politics.
Yeah.
It is really about politics.
I was gonna say like there's some interesting conversation to be had about the politics of this movie.
Yeah.
Because it's a really weird movie politically, but
Oh yeah.
yeah. As far as news articles go, I don't have a lot.
HBO Max announced that they're doing a Penguin series.
Yeah. Oh wait, yeah, with Colin Farrell doing the
Yeah.
full. Which I'm not for these like spin-off series, but I really like Colin Farrell in this movie as the Penguin. I think it's maybe the funny. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Did you see the people who were like, "Why did they make Colin Farrell look like the Penguin when Richard Kind already looks like that?"
Dude, I literally. Well, that's literally when I was watching it. I was like, is this Richard Kind? I forget who plays the Penguin, and it took me like halfway through the movie to remember. I was like, oh my god, it's Colin Farrell. That's Colin Farrell. And when you go into it with that in mind, it's hilarious. Every scene with the Penguin after that was just the funniest thing ever because I was like, that's not him.
The problem with Richard Kind being, if Richard Kind was the Penguin, is that Richard Kind's voice it makes it so that Richard Kind can only play Richard Kind.
Yeah. I say honestly, Jeff, that we just like kind of hop into it. I say we hop into this review because I'm sure there's like a lot we want to talk about. So
Yeah.
Today we're talking about the Batman, the new movie out. About the Batman
movie out.
the new movie. It stars Robert Pattinson as the Batman, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Paul Dano as the Riddler, and a bunch of other people. Clearly, Colin Farrell as the Penguin. And the synopsis reads, Batman ventures into Gotham City's underworld when a sadistic killer leaves behind a trail of cryptic clues. As the evidence begins to lead closer to home and the scale of the perpetrator's plans become clear, he must forge new relationships, unmask the culprit, and bring justice to the abuse of power and corruption that has long plagued the metropolis. It's directed by Matt Reeves, and it is 3 hours long. It's a fat movie. It's long, which is why I was like, I felt bad being like, because I mean, you had interest in seeing, which is why I don't feel that bad. But I was like, I'm like, gotta go out there and watch a long movie for this week's episode. But I feel like this one is, we don't. First of all, we don't do that often. But second of all, this is like, it's a fun one.
I would have seen this at some point, anyways.
Right? Yeah.
There's like a zeitgeist about this.
Yeah. Now, Jeff, here's the thing. We have mentioned Joker in the past, and how when you saw it in Hungary, they had Hungarian written on all his notes.
Yeah.
Do you think they did that with the Riddler's riddles in this one?
Yes. I would say they definitely did that.
It's like all I could think about while watching this. I was like, I was laughing not because of the riddles, but because I was like, oh my god, I wonder if there's like a cut of
It
this
makes
with
the riddles
Hungarian
way more difficult, for sure.
to read. Batman's like, these are in Hungarian. I don't understand
this script.
I don't know
Like
that
the
language.
cipher probably isn't even symbols. It's probably all Hungarian.
Yeah.
Like everything, not even just the messages, like just the cipher. It's just Hungarian, the Hungarian alphabet.
Yeah.
It's like, what is this?
Yeah. But it's where do we even
actually-
start?
It's probably so difficult that he doesn't ever solve it, and the movie just ends
Right.
after like an hour.
Yeah.
It's like,
they're
this
like
is too difficult.
he'll figure it out in part 2. He has to go to Hungary. I
Yeah.
don't know. Jeff, I feel like we both. Well, let's start here. Do you superhero movies? I feel like we rarely talk about superhero movies. Are
Yeah.
you at all like? Do you have any connection to Batman? Because
No.
neither do I.
I mean,
Yeah.
I saw a couple of the older ones.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Everyone's seen The Dark Knight. I feel like
Right,
we both
right.
went to film school. Not
I have a question about Batman as a character.
okay.
Is it ever explained why he decided to dress like a bat?
I saw your Letterboxd review.
Yeah.
Right as I got on here. Which for anyone that doesn't know, Jeff said it wasn't ever really explained why he is so into bats. No, they don't. And also, I recently learned through Chris Stuckman's review of this that he doesn't say Batman until like 2 hours into the movie. And they only say it one time in the movie where he's like, maybe it's time to put this all to an end. The whole, like, the Batman.
Right.
It's just so funny. It's like, yeah, it is kind of silly, isn't it? He's a bat.
Right. Because that's the thing when you do these versions of these films that are so grounded in reality and
Yep,
make them feel like real people, is then the fact that he dresses up like a bat becomes ridiculous.
It becomes crazy, yeah.
Because when that's the only like heightened, unrealistic part of the movie,
Yeah.
you're like, wait, why is he dressed like this?
Right. And it's funny because it's like somehow they make the Penguin work and the Riddler work. The Riddler seems like a very real, like, criminal, I would say. At least in this movie. Not in the Jim Carrey versions.
Yeah.
But in this one, yes.
Because they just made the Riddler feel like some kind of like, typical white supremacist,
He's right, yeah.
which is the most common type of terrorist in America. So.
Yeah. Now, we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, I thought that I don't know. I like, here's the thing though. Even though this is super grounded, I think it's like kind of a goofy movie from time to time, and I really appreciate that because I feel like, and I love the Christopher Nolan Batmans, like everybody else. I'm like, they're great movies, but they do take themselves so seriously. I mean, they have like their bits of humor, but this one is, in my opinion, pretty funny.
Yeah.
Just the way he solves the riddles, and he's like, Falcons have wings, Falcone. I'm like, come on, man, that was a stretch.
Also, the whole thing, like, those were ridiculous because he would get them immediately.
Yeah, he
It would
gets
be like a
them
riddle,
so
and then it wasn't like, yeah,
fast.
he would get them within like 5 seconds.
Yeah, he's just a genius at the riddles. Yeah, no, and we talked about Colin Farrell as the Penguin. I think he's one of the best parts about the movie. Like, as soon as he shows up and he's doing the whole like New York Italian accent, it's just, yeah, it's great. But what else? I mean, did you liked the movie? You liked the movie?
Yeah, I did like the movie.
Yeah, I would
I
say
like to go to the movie.
I heart watch movies.
I love to watch the movie.
Yeah. I should have worn that to the screening. I heart watch Batman movie, but yeah, I will say like the 3-hour runtime kind of you feel it, but I never had an issue with it. I know a lot of people are actually complaining about it, and saying like this is way too damn long. And I don't think it fully sticks the landing. Like you definitely feel it at the end of the movie. You're like, man, wrap it up. But for the most part, I'm a big fan of like crime, mystery, detective movies, and this is like that kind of movie. It's just Batman solving this crime, and I think I was super entertained.
I know
like,
that's the thing, is that it just felt like a crime film with Batman as the detective.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted out of this movie.
Yeah.
So
like,
I was
it didn't
pretty
feel like
pleased.
it was just like all these shots in the Bat Cave and him like driving. Like it was just Batman's a detective and he solves riddles really fast.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I feel like I've myself included. I know some people that have kind of complained about the politics of this movie, and the thing about the Batman is I'm not going to this movie for the politics. I don't think this is where I'm going to be, like, my eyes will be opened to any crazy political ideologies.
Yeah, it's like Don't Look Up.
Yeah, it's not trying to change the world. But it does have just, like, this weird, like, it's got, like, a not all cops message somewhere in there. And the Riddler thing, like, you were right. It's like they write him exactly like this white supremacist like leader. Like they totally write him like he's part of the alt-right. But his whole message is like relatively like anti-capitalist and like sort of leaning into leftist ideologies. And it's just
it's kind of weird.
It's a really I mean, I still think he's like a really well written character, but I'm like, what is this guy? What are his stances?
He has this very narrow worldview in terms of getting back at, these people that he thinks are evil.
Right. Yeah.
But then he also just kills people indiscriminately, which is very confusing.
And that's something that also can be said about like the Batman, Bruce Wayne, because he famously in these movies always ends up killing so many civilians in the process of trying to take down these like he does so much more harm than he does good. And I feel like this is the first movie where they kind of acknowledge that, and he like feels this overwhelming guilt throughout the film of like, what am I doing? And like my parents apparently suck, and like
and I like bats.
I really liked that about him. Like and on that note, I thought Rob Pattinson was pretty great, which might be controversial. I know that's kind of a hot take apparently, but what did you think? Did you like Rob Pattinson?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have Rob Pattinson and I share a birthday, not the year but the day. So
wow.
It's us, Stephen Colbert, Dennis Rodman. That's the four person.
That's funny. Wow.
Rob's a few years older than me though.
Right, yeah. Have you seen a lot of Rob Pattinson? We've watched Tenet together.
Which that's a whole different thing.
It's a different movie. Yeah. But I'm like
running backwards.
Did you see The Lighthouse?
I did see The Lighthouse.
Okay.
Did we do that for this podcast?
I don't think we ever talked about it on the podcast.
I feel like we did.
Yeah. We definitely have mentioned it from time to time. But yeah, I mean, Rob Pattinson, I feel like deserves this kind of like mainstream acclaim he's finally. And not to say that those movies weren't a hit. I mean, Tenet was like a giant blockbuster, but like I feel like
you couldn't understand any of the dialogue, but it was a big hit.
Yeah. It was big, that's for sure. But yeah, I feel like this will finally, like, a lot of the people that still know him as like the Twilight guy, I don't know. I think he's like a great actor, and I just think he's like super fun in this movie.
How emo he
so
is when
emo.
Bruce Wayne is so funny.
Like they play a Kurt Cobain song like right off the bat. Like, also was it Kurt Cobain or was it Nirvana? I feel like it's bad to just say Kurt Cobain.
I don't know.
Batman Kurt Cobain song. I think it was just it's Nirvana. Anyways, I like that about it. I like the angsty Batman thing. I think like the thing about this that works for me is that I feel like superhero movies, I feel like very exhausted from. I'm just like they all kind of feel the same after a while, and especially now that it's like another Batman movie after there's been so many iterations of it. It's like I'm thankful that it's like a different take and that this is the angsty version instead of just a different version of whatever Christian Bale was doing or like trying to go like super action with it like Ben Affleck. It's just it's like I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't you want this? It's like a different version of it.
Yeah, that's the thing, because it really is so much less of an action film than like The Dark Knight.
Totally. Which is like it's like more of a mystery, which is cool for Batman.
Yeah, and also Batman just inherently is barely a superhero.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense to make a film like this because it's really the only one you can. Like, you can't make, DC, you can't have the Flash and not be very much a superhero because the whole Flash thing is just a guy who runs really fast.
Yeah. No one wants the Hulk doing crime.
And no one wants the Flash not running fast.
Yeah.
He just becomes like a guy.
Then it's Free Guy. No,
it's Free Guy. What?
I don't know. There was a joke somewhere in there, and then I like backed out of it halfway through saying it. Yeah, I like that part. That's what I'm saying. But that's not to say that like this doesn't have some really great action scenes. I mean, the car chase. Everyone's been talking about the car chase, but I thought it was great. Like, that's one of the best.
I didn't understand the physics of that car chase.
Definitely a little cartoonish, yeah.
But, I was fine with it.
Fine, yeah. Someone did bring up that it's like, yeah, that car chase, though, he kills so many people driving on the road that weren't the Penguin. Like, so many accidents that happened because of Batman. But anyway, I like when he jumps off the building and it's like that GoPro headshot of him.
Yeah.
It's like so.
It reminded me of that the guy in Britain who does the trains.
Yeah.
You're just the guy who watches the trains. You have that GoPro shot facing his face, and it's like huge.
That's exactly what it is. I like that.
What if that's how we recorded the video part of the podcast? Is we just had
us,
feeds of GoPros on our faces,
just walking around like this? Yeah. I don't know. I thought it like had fun with it in cases like that, which is what. Yeah, it just makes it a better. It does like kind of fall into the normal superhero film tropes near the end, which is why I feel like it didn't really land for me. Because I mean, there's obviously also we never established, but like obviously we're spoiling this movie in this podcast.
Right.
I feel like I'll put that in at the beginning. I never established that, but yeah, with like the Joker coming up, I was like, okay, so there's gonna be a Joker next movie. Which isn't like I wasn't like pissed about it. I was just like, it's starting to feel like, the superhero movie. I don't know. I mean, what did you not like about the movie?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was very long.
It's long. Yeah.
So I feel like that I don't know if I'll ever watch this again or not for years.
Yeah. I would say like it's a good rewatch on the plane if you have like a long plane ride. I feel like this would be a good plane movie. Not as the first time. I'm really glad I saw it in theaters. Because I was like,
you were like, I'm glad I saw it on a plane.
Yeah. But yeah, I do think it's pretty long. But yeah, I would say, I don't know. I don't have a ton of flaws with it is the thing. Yep. I really do love this movie.
About the whole like Catwoman implementation.
I personally I thought she was a great character. I mean, I like Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, and I like her costume a lot. I thought like the mask that was just like cloth is super funny, and I don't know.
That was very funny. It was very funny. Even Batman's costume, where there's so much of his face that is not covered.
It's
like he has a very recognizable lower part of his jaw and chin, so there's no way that people would not know it's him.
one of the most recognizable Jaws out there is Robert Pattinson's. Yeah.
Yeah. Second only to Carson Runquist.
Yeah. Famous for my jaw. Yeah. What I kept thinking was whenever they would kiss, he had like the really pointy nose on his mask, and I was like, that's got to be digging into her skin so hard. Yeah. A lot of people are complaining that their chemistry was like not there and that they were not good together, and I'm like, they weren't the best thing in the world. Like I didn't really feel much for that whole relationship. But I was like, it didn't take me out of it. Is what I'm saying. I'm just kind of in the middle on that whole situation.
Yeah, Rob Pattinson was just being like the most emo person ever, so I feel like the chemistry was always going to be rough. Right.
I thought that Jeffrey Wright as Gordon, I think is his name, the other police chief or detective, he was great. He's like in way more of this movie than I expected him to be in, and he like carries it because he's just got like a really good detective voice. I don't know. He just pairs really well with. They had more chemistry than Catwoman is what I'm trying to say. Like they were such a good pair. And then Paul Dano as the Riddler, really well casted. Like he looks like a creepy guy.
He looks like a white supremacist.
Right, yeah. He's got that mouth that's really tiny and I
He's got that mouth.
He's got that really tiny mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got that. You've seen all those terrorists with tiny mouths.
You know they're tiny mouths.
They have tiny mouths.
Yeah. He was great. I really liked him. It felt like, it's so easy to take like a Batman villain after Heath Ledger's Joker and try and like overplay it and be like crazy guy that's like super evil and creepy. And I feel like Paul Dano managed to like, I don't know, find his own lane with it and still be really unsettling. I was not expecting, he's not like the creepiest thing in the world, but I wasn't expecting to be as unsettled as I was by him. I'm like, he's kind of creepy.
Didn't in like interviews say he's scared himself?
I did not see that, but that's funny.
I think that's what he said. I think he's like, I had trouble sleeping because I was so scared of myself.
All these riddles. He's like, I was trying to solve my own riddles. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait. Here's it says Paul, and also now you're making me like confused of how you say his last name.
Yeah. See, I didn't.
I'm gonna go Dano.
Yeah, Dano sounds right.
So it says Paul Dano had trouble sleeping while playing the Riddler in The Batman. I was scared of what was happening in my head. That's the quote.
That's so funny. Hope he's okay, but
yeah. So since we clearly are doing spoilers,
the
thing I was confused about, and I'm kind of confused about the general layout of Gotham City because it's weird because part of it's Chicago and parts New York City.
Yeah.
But why is the entire city like 6 feet below sea level?
I don't know. I'm not like a Batman expert. I don't know.
Is that canon?
Gotham. Yeah.
That it's that below sea level because they're like, well, if we destroy sea walls, the whole place will be flooded. Which
is like not great for, a major metropolitan.
Right. That's what I was
kind
of.
I was like, it's not. Yeah. I'm like,
it's
wow.
Like one bomb and the whole city gets flooded.
Yeah. You would think they would like really secure those walls so that no one does such a thing. No, yeah, I don't know. I did think like, we should mention, just small tangent here, that our buddies Nahal and Miles Anderson worked on this film. Now, I did stay for the credits. They are both not credited in the film, but yeah, they did. It was shot in
worked
Chicago.
On it as well, right?
Brandon did. Okay. I did not know that. I should have looked for his name.
Yeah, I don't know if he was credited either.
Yeah. It's crazy that you can work like an overnight on this movie, which I'm pretty sure they did, or just like put in the hours and not make the credits. Like there were people that didn't make the credits, and it's already a crazy credits. But yeah, anyways, Chicago. I liked how much of it was like accurate to Chicago though. Like they were on one of the train stops that is like pretty close to DePaul.
Yeah,
like,
I noticed that too, which it took me out of it a little bit because I'm like, I've been there.
Yeah, I was like, wow, man, we've been there.
It's like, oh yeah, he's just waiting for the brown line.
Yeah, just another late night waiting for the brown line.
Yeah, he just there were some people who just went to Merchandise Mart.
Yeah, that's just downtown. That's just the loop. Our theater had mixing problems, so the first like 20 minutes of the movie was like kind of underwhelming and a little awkward because like you couldn't really hear what they were saying in the dialogue because it was so quiet. So thankfully someone went and said something. But anyways, I don't know why I had to bring that up.
Did everyone think that it was just like a like Tenet?
That's what I thought. I was like, this is a stylistic choice, I guess. The music's just way too loud, and then they were like. No one said anything, but it like suddenly got louder. And anyways, yeah, I thought it looked great. I mean, Nick told me that the DP Greg Fraser, I think is his name, basically like asked for an entirely new, like he invented a new lens or asked like Ari to invent a new lens just for this movie, which is super interesting because it has like a really like unique dark look to it where everything is kind of not out of focus but like foggy or like gritty. I'm just like it looked really great in my opinion. I love the look of the movie.
Yeah, do you wish that you used that lens on Dirtbag?
Yeah. We had some people invent some new lenses just for Dirtbag.
We went to Ari and
we were like, listen.
We had them invent a new sensor.
Yeah. We're like, we got this short film.
Yeah, we're like, we need this in 18K.
Yeah.
We also need to invent a new SD card that can hold all this.
Yeah, there's a lot of we need 3 hours of footage for this film.
We need a 150 terabyte CF card, please.
Yeah. I mean that and like the production design was really cool. They really made Chicago look like shit for the moment. I mean it looked awful. It
did look awful.
A really awful city to live in.
Yeah. It's single-handedly driving down property values in Chicago.
Yeah. It didn't look too far off of Lower Wacker Drive, which is like the. Have you ever been to the Pound on like Lower Wacker?
No.
It's awful. I had to go to the Pound once, and it was just the worst experience of my life.
What do you mean the Pound?
Like when your car gets towed, the Pound.
That's not the Pound. That's the impound.
We call it the Pound.
The Pound is where dogs go. That's where like people capture dogs.
Wait a second.
You're talking about an impound lot.
I think no. Here, I think we call it the Pound for short. You know,
no one calls it that.
Do you go to the Pound? Wait, do you go to the Pound when your car?
No, if you lose your dog, you go to the Pound because that's where the dog catcher brings all the dogs.
Impound lot. Yeah. Wow. Damn. Well, we've been saying the Pound for a while.
Who's we?
Me. Nice. Well, yeah, I went to the impound on Lower Wacker. Yeah, what else?
Yep.
I liked this movie.
You just did some lower Wacker pounding.
Yeah. Went to the Lower Wacker to get my dog. Anyways, I guess I had some other thoughts on this. I guess it was just like, I don't know. I got exactly what I wanted out of it. It was like entertaining in my opinion. I thought I was thoroughly entertained. I thought it was an interesting take on Batman as a character. Thought it looked great. Like the direction was really well done. There was like a lot of like it's clearly a movie that takes place in like modern times because they have like a FaceTime scene with the Riddler, and he's like streaming on Twitch and stuff. And I thought all of that was handled way better than it had any reason to be. I was like, this is usually that stuff takes me out immediately, but I thought it was like handled really well.
Everyone was making fun of the follower count.
Yep. Yeah, when they were like they're like
he has over 500 followers.
I was like, come on. The Cars Cast is doing double that.
We're doing at least double that.
Yeah. And then they were like, they meant like, well, even that, they were like 500 followers. And then I was like, oh, they're talking about just like the people that are like going to rally.
Yeah, like
but
the
even
crazy,
that, there were like 12 guys. I was like, there should be way more in this situation. But yeah. Anyways.
Would you have followed the Riddler?
I would have been curious, yeah, but I wouldn't have followed it.
This is
no.
You shouldn't release this.
Don't say that. No, I mean that's the other thing. I'm like 500 followers. Like there would at least be some people that are just like curious that just like want to keep up to date.
Easily could have gotten more people to show up.
That's what I'm saying.
Gotham
I'm like
Square Garden.
If he can do this, like we can put on a live show,
right?
At a small venue, you know.
We
can put something up.
At least 24 people. If 12 people show up to shoot people in Gotham Square Garden, we could at least get 24 people to show up to a small venue to watch us talk.
I told my 20,000 follower base on Twitter to come to Weird Fest to watch Dirtbag, and I had 4 people show up. So I just don't believe this kind of.
I mean, we once, with 1 hour notice, asked someone to come to a park, and they did.
Yeah, someone did. We're just flaunting our,
we have that much pull.
We have pull, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we've kind of neared the end of what we have to say about the Batman. I mean, I'll obviously like talk about it in my what I watched this month video. I just like I'm like, what is there to say? It's just a good movie. It's just like good time.
It's like a superhero movie, but it's barely that.
Yeah.
It's just like a good detective movie with a guy who's good at martial arts.
Right. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, the fight choreography was so good. What were you gonna say?
No, that's
it.
That's pretty much what I was gonna say too. I mean, I liked it when he did the punching.
Yeah, he really punched some people. What are you
Although
feeling?
He didn't use that bat knife very much.
No, he didn't pull out any shark repellent once.
Yeah,
I will say
which that's messed up.
Okay, let me bring up the gadget once. He did have that like eyeball gadget where you can like see through or just like see what's going on, and I thought that was sick. I was like, this is a cool ass tool.
Yeah, I also liked how he just had a vial of like adrenaline or something to stab himself with.
That was a spinach. He went full Popeye.
Yeah.
Anyways, I gave this like a 4.5. I really liked it. I mean, in all honesty, that might get docked down in the future. I'm kind of just riding off.
You're just on a high.
I'm on the high. I'm on that Batman high. I just had such a good time. What about you?
Yeah, I gave it a 4, which
that is pretty much
for a superhero movie. It's pretty good.
That's what it is. Yeah, better than the Suicide Squad.
Yep. Better than the Suicide Squad. Better than Joker.
Better than Joker. It is like getting a lot of. I kind of thought about Joker in more ways than just the Hungarian thing during this.
Yeah.
I was like, it is kind of following that like gritty character study.
Right, because I mean, it's obviously in the same universe.
Yeah, and you
know, but it's just this felt a lot less like vaguely preachy.
Mm-hmm. It was fun. It had a story.
Yeah,
like it
that's
had
the
an
thing, is
actual
it was just more
story.
Fun than,
yeah. Cool. Well, that is the Batman. It's out in theaters right now. I'm sure if you're at this point in the podcast, you've already seen it because.
Or if you just want to listen to this as a replacement for seeing it.
I mean, to be
Which
fair,
I would say was if you already had done that, that was a bad mistake on your part.
Right.
You should not have done that.
See, the thing is, I at this, I think we're nearing the point where it's like everyone knows. Well, that's not necessarily true. The thing is, like Spider-Man, I have not seen the new Spider-Man movie. I know exactly what happens in that movie, and
Right.
I don't really care about spoilers because I'm like, yeah, I know what happens. But
He shoots
just-
webs.
yeah, he shoots. Yeah, he goes full Spider-Man.
He gets bit by a spider.
Villains. Yeah. Anyways, the Batman.
What if he needed to get bitten by a spider like every day to keep his powers? So like every day he has to go look for a spider and like put it on his arm.
The plot of the new movie is that like spiders are going extinct, and he's has to start this campaign to keep the spiders alive.
See,
He's
this
like,
is a good idea.
Spiders
We should
are our
write
friends, and we're like, oh my god, Spider-Man was behind that. I knew it.
This is a good idea.
Yeah. So that's that. Let's. Do you want to answer some questions, Jeff?
I mean, not really.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
All right. These are questions from the subreddit r/Carscast. If you want to get your questions answered, head on over there or become a $15 patron over at patreon.com/Carscast. We don't have any today, unfortunately, but these come from the subreddit. This first one is from move out of the way. It's Cyhots9292, and it's what's your craziest experience on an airplane? Craziest experience on an airplane.
Craziest.
I mean, you can only get so crazy with these stories before
Yeah,
you're like,
because I mean, none of them have
I
crashed. I mean, I have been on a plane where the guy who was the pilot crashed like 2 weeks later on the same plane.
wow,
But
I didn't
my
know that.
experience was not crazy. Mine was
Yeah.
normal.
Yours was just a normal flight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, it might just be the really, really long flights I've taken, like the one from
Yeah.
Chicago to Taiwan.
Uh-huh.
It was like 15 and a half hours,
Wow. That's insane.
which is crazy. Yeah.
yeah. Damn. That is a crazy airplane experience, just being on the plane for a while. I feel like,
Yeah, just it makes you feel like your life is now just being on a plane.
Yeah. You could watch The Batman 5 times in that.
Yeah,
plane.
which is crazy.
It's
Like,
insane.
Imagine if someone did that. That'd be a world record. Most times watch the Batman on one flight. You think I could get the Guinness Book of World Records to like quantify that in the book?
Definitely now, because it's only in theaters, so you would,
I'd have to
You would-
pirate it.
yeah, you'd have to do some illegal stuff.
Yeah.
But
I have a question. If you watch a movie at 2 times speed, does that still count as watching it? Because you saw all the frames, but
you did watch the movie. Yeah, you sat through it. I don't know. I would say so. Yeah.
and then at what point does that cut off? Like stop counting?
Right. Yeah.
Would it be at the refresh rate of whatever monitor you're watching it on? Like, so if you have a 360 hertz monitor, could you watch the film at 360 frames a second, and then that would still count as seeing the movie? Would it have to be
Technically-
you see all the frames?
You watched all the frames. I feel like they would the frames would compress though, or the refresh rate, like you said. But the refresh rate, yeah.
Yeah, so it would need to be exporting it at 360 frames a second and watching it on a 360 frame like hertz monitor.
Man.
This is a
I don't
complicated.
even want to think about it. I feel like my head would
Yeah.
explode. I feel like, to answer your question though, at the point where it gets incomprehensible, that's when I would say,
Yeah, I mean, to
I
be
did
fair,
not watch
some
the
films
movie.
have been incomprehensible to me
As
watching them at
is.
normal speed.
yeah. Especially if they're foreign language and you don't have subtitles, in which case
Yeah.
you really don't know what's going on. Some people have watched Parasite with no subtitles to test like how well it tells the story, just purely off visuals, and said like you can get a pretty good idea of what's going on in that movie without
Wait, but
subtitles.
the only way that would work is if that was how you watched it the first time.
Right. Yeah. That's
So,
you know
I don't
what?
know if I believe
I
people are
I
doing
haven't
that.
questioned these people, but the thing is, I almost did that, and I've said this before because it was playing in Paris like 6 months before it was going to come to the North America, and it was in Korean, and the subtitles were French. So I I could have seen it just down the block, but I was like, I'm not going to understand anything that happens in that movie.
that
so.
happened when I saw Bergman Island.
Right? Yeah.
It's mostly in English, but there's a little bit of Swedish, and I saw
Yeah.
it in France, so the subtitles were in French.
Yeah.
So I was watching people speak Swedish and have it subtitled into French, which did not help me at all.
No.
which I think Swedish and French are probably equally far apart from English.
Yeah.
So it's like I could understand some words of each.
I would say Swedish is a little bit closer. As someone who's done Duolingo Swedish,
That's what I've heard. I've heard that Swedish and like Danish are fairly, and also Dutch are like fairly close.
Yeah. French is hard though. I mean, I think we can both speak on that. It's very hard.
Je suis allé à le cinéma pour le film The Batman.
The Batman.
The Batman.
Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson. Avec le Batman. All right, I'm not gonna. All right, yeah.
With the Batman.
Avec le avec le Riddler. Avec Catwoman. All right.
So what you did when you studied abroad in France is you just learned how to say names with a French accent.
Yeah. It was just funny, like hearing. It was funny, like doing dinner with my host family, and they within like 2 weeks just gave up on trying to communicate to me and just like did their normal conversations in French, and they would just be talking really fast in French. So obviously, I'm just like eating my dinner, not understanding a damn thing that's going on at the table.
Yeah.
But every now and then they'd like say a name and be like, Donald Trump, and I'd be like, I know that. What did he do? And then they'd like look at the TV and he'd be on the TV and they'd be like, ugh, and I'd be like, yeah. Anyways, the audio only for this podcast is just very confusing this week. This next one comes from, actually we did have a $15 patron question. I double checked after I saw that. And this one comes from Taylor is concerned for Monroe's dog, and it's Taco Bell go-to choice. Go-to choice from Taco Bell.
Okay, first off, if you're just getting like a regular taco, do you go soft taco or hard taco?
Soft taco.
Me too.
Yeah, that's... yeah.
Now, saying that, my go-to things, and this is kind of weird because I don't do like the quite typical go-to things.
Okay.
But I'm a big steak quesadilla person.
Okay.
That's not the weird part. But I also eat those weird cantina bowls.
Those are good. Those are good.
Yeah,
I've had those before.
Okay.
They're pretty good.
Because I think the typical answer is like, oh, I get a Crunchwrap Supreme. Also, Baja Blast.
The Baja Blast. Okay. I've never had the Baja Blast, but I've heard
you're not a soda guy.
Yeah, I'm not a soda guy.
I mean, it's disgusting, but in a way that is pleasing.
Yeah. People love the Baja Blast. Like, there's a very dedicated following for that. I usually go with the beefy 5-layer burrito, which is...
it doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound good. It's humiliating every time I order it, and I'm like, "Can I get the beefy 5-layer burrito?" And they're like, "You sure?" After saying it out loud, you want that? You want the beefy 5-layer?
What are the layers? Can you name them?
It's like it's the 5 layers aren't even beef. The beef is in the inside, I'm pretty sure, and then the one layer.
Well, okay. I need to halt you for a second here. A quick pause. You thought that I thought that the beefy 5-layer burrito meant that all 5 layers were beef.
Well, the thing is, if I were to order this at Arby's, that would be the case.
You
Arby's would do that.
It was just a big clump of beef.
Just a big thing of beef, yeah, separated by tortillas. No, it's cheese, and then there's like refried beans, and I think they just repeat that. To be honest, I think it's not. To be honest, I don't really know what I'm eating when I order that. I just it tastes really good, and I know there's those ingredients. So yeah, the beefy 5-layer at Taco Bell. I did get the Crunchwrap Supreme. I did get that once. It was fine. It was like right. It's just fine. Yeah.
It's funny to hold. It feels like you're holding like a plate and eating.
Yeah. This next one comes from Roller Skate Butterfly, and it's the thing got. What's your dream vacation? What's your dream vacation? Now I don't know. I have wanted to do this actual trip for a while, and it's go from Iceland to Norway to Sweden, and then go to Denmark.
What about Finland?
I know. Well, okay. I guess it's my dream, so I can be crazy. I'd go to Finland.
Yeah,
and then
you could take the ferry to
to
Estonia.
Estonia. Literally, this is a trip I planned out where it was that, and then take the trip to Estonia, go down Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and then fuck it, stop in Germany, go to Denmark, fly out of Denmark. It's just that's a section of Europe that I've always wanted to. What? Don't tell me.
It's great.
Okay, you've done it.
I was just gonna say I've done like half of those. I've been to Sweden a couple times. I've been to Latvia and Lithuania and Poland.
Yeah.
And Germany.
Yeah. It's
and Denmark.
Yeah. I mean, I've always wanted to visit Sweden. Like, it just seems like a place that I would love. But I feel like I'm gonna go there one day and then be like, wow, this is really overrated. I didn't. This did not live up to the expectations, but I'm pretty sure
it's pretty cool.
I would love it.
You would like it.
Seems like a really
and also
great
you're
place.
like Scandinavian.
I know. I'm like, I feel like, I don't know. I have to visit the roots.
Yeah.
I also just Iceland. Like, I really want to go to Iceland. It looks
I do too. I haven't
really beautiful.
I have not been to Iceland.
Yeah.
I know people who've gone and they love it.
What about you, Jeff? I mean, I feel like I've asked this before. Like, where haven't you gone that you really want to go to?
Well, here's the thing. I kind of want to go back to Vietnam and do like a big road trip on like a motorcycle, like down the length of the country.
That
would be cool.
So cool. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Man.
Because I've only been to like just some northern parts of Vietnam.
Yeah. And I can see you doing that. I feel like you would, thrive in the motorcycle trip.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've never driven a motorcycle, so I'd have to learn how to do that first.
Yeah.
Well, I did drive a motorcycle in Thailand for about 20 feet.
Nice. Hey, if you can do that, you can do the whole country of Vietnam.
Yeah, because I was with people who were driving motorcycles. I'm like, I'm going to try to drive this for like 20 feet, and I did it, and I almost fell down.
Nice. So is that your dream vacation, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Cool.
I've done a couple pretty good vacations.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of the world. I'm very jealous of how much of the world you've seen.
Yeah, it helps on GeoGuessr.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my favorite. It was the time that you were playing it on your stream, and I'm like in the chat. I'm like, I've been here.
Was it like Thailand or?
Yeah, it was Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Yeah, and you were like,
it was
I've been to the zoo.
I drove by the zoo, but I recognized it.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. Well, that does it for questions. We can head into the wrap up on that note, and announce next week's movie, which is After Yang. It is
After Yang.
It is the new. It's also starring Colin Farrell, which is funny. It's our second Colin Farrell movie in a row. He's having a big week. I think both this and Batman came out the same week. But it's the latest from Kogonada, who is a former video essayist turned very successful filmmaker.
Just like Karsten Rundquist soon.
I don't. No. No. But yeah, After Yang, it's on Hulu with Showtime. I think it's just on Showtime. Like if you have the Showtime add-on, you're good. And I also think it's on, Prime. But it's online. You'll find it. And yeah. Oh, and we'll have a special guest on for that episode. I'm not going to announce it just in case she pulls out last minute.
Well, if they pull out, I don't know if that's going to be the movie then.
Yeah, well, you're right. Okay, we're going to have Letterboxd Lucy on to talk about after.
So I'm like, all this info will be wrong if they pull out.
Yeah. Next up, we like to read a review because we love hearing what you guys have to say about the podcast.
Especially me. Karsten is indifferent.
Yeah.
No, he's not. He likes it.
I like it. I don't know what Jeff meant by that.
No, Karsten, great guy. Not enough good things to say about Karsten Rundquist. I mean, incredibly handsome.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
A great chin. Very recognizable.
Thanks.
Also, great fashion sense. As evidenced by, is this a sweater?
This sweater. This is actually my dad's sweater that I'm borrowing. and so I can't really take credit for it. But it's a really cool sweater.
It is a nice sweater.
This one, we are kind of lacking in reviews. You guys should leave some more reviews. This is kind of an old one that I don't think I read. But the subject line is 5 stars. The score is 5 stars. And the review is from Domara Hart from Australia. And this was my number 1 podcast on Spotify Wrapped this year. Smiley face. This is such an old review. We're talking Spotify Wrapped. But, thank you, Domara. Never not appreciated.
It would have been such a prank if the review was 5 stars as the title and they gave us just like 1 star.
Awful review. Yeah. But yeah, if you guys want to help out the podcast, you should leave a review. Helps.
Or become a patron. That would be
become a patron.
Preferable.
Which is the next part of the wrap up is giving a shout out to our lovely patrons. Yeah. If you guys didn't already know, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Carscast, where you can go to support us. It's the best way to support us. Because not only are you supporting us, but you get exclusive perks like bonus episodes twice a month, Q&As where you get your question answered in these episodes if you're a $15 patron. You get monthly Zoom hangouts where you get to talk to me and Jeff. Yeah,
and the other people who pay us money, which great bunch of people.
Right.
I would say that even if they weren't paying us money,
good people. Yeah,
they are. Great people.
Yeah.
We have a great time hanging out.
Honestly, you should become a patron just to talk to these patrons, not to talk to us.
More than us. Honestly, I would pay money to talk to Monroe Page.
I think they should start a Patreon, and then we become patrons for the patrons.
If Monroe Page has a Patreon, the Karstcast will collectively be patrons.
Support it, and you get shout outs at the end of every episode.
Like this.
Like this one. Thank you, Alex Thomas, Anson Contreras, Big Beard Pirate, Camilla, Coop, David Borslow, David Sir, Eden, Eli Brow, Finn Richardson, Gavin Gibson. Get Semisonic on the podcast so that you can change the outro to closing time. Good Night Tail, Grant Gower, Jaden Easton, John Van Hout, Judith, KDT. Let's change the Google search results for PTA. Levin, good luck pronouncing this correctly. Liv Rob, Lul Hottie, Lukewarm, Maddie Robertson, Martin Deff, Mary Lee Borslow, Meridian, Monopoly Shrimp on the Barbie, Monroe Page, Nathan Worley, Nora B, Owen Felton, Pasta, Pete, Seth Anant, Riley Oss, Sam Farr, Stella Perry, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, Smitty Werben, Jagerman Jensen. Taylor is concerned for Monroe's dog, the raccoon from Airbud 7th Inning Fetch, Tom Likes Beans, Wes Kinley, Wiley Todd, Xavier Fossier, Yusef A. Zoinks, and Zoe Hernandez McDonald. If I mispronounced any of those names, because usually if there's a new name, I tend to mispronounce it. Please let me know so I can pronounce it correctly.
That is a great idea. We do need that person your dad knows from Semisonic.
Yeah, honestly, he would be down. He would
that would be
definitely be
amazing.
Down. Yeah, it'd be funny. It'd be really funny.
Could also, do you think that what instrument do they play again?
Bass. Do you think
could we have them
our theme song?
Yeah, or play closing time on the podcast,
that would be
line.
He might be sick of being
play the guitar
asked
part
to play it, but I'm sure he'd
wait, would he replace the lyric to make it Karsten time? One last call for YouTube.
I'm trying to come up with a funny...
One last call for YouTube vids.
Yeah, one last call for outro.
Okay, we can write it.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
We'll write the lyrics and then we'll send an email to him and
we'll get his contact. My people will reach out to his people.
Yep. You have a manager. You actually do have people.
I have people, but I don't.
That was a joke, but you do have people. They would not help with this.
Shout out to my people. My managers are great.
Shout out. Yeah, Carson has great people surrounding him.
Anyways, Jeff, any closing words? Closing times?
Catch you on the flip side. I had to process what you just said.
Catch you on the flip side.
Flip side.